Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be tackling a big one, procrastination. So if you've ever found yourself putting things off, scrolling through social media, or even avoiding tasks until the very last minute, you are definitely not alone. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have actionable steps to beat procrastination and get more done. So let's dive in. Procrastination, it's something we've all been guilty of at one point in time or another. You know that sinking feeling when you realize you've spent hours avoiding something important? Yeah, I've been there too. But here's the good news. Procrastination isn't a personality trait. It's a habit, and like any habit, you can change it. So here's some steps for you. Step number 1, understand why you procrastinate. Now, before we can beat procrastination, you need to understand why we do it. The truth is, procrastination often comes from avoiding tasks that feel overwhelming, boring, or difficult. We delay because we've been looking for a quick hit of something easier or more fun. Sound familiar? One of the tips I want you to do is to ask yourself, why am I putting this off? Is it fear of failure? Is it the task is too big? Understanding the why helps you address it head on. And once you identify the root cause, you can take steps to fix it. Step number 2 is to break down your tasks into smaller chunks. Overwhelm is a huge trigger for procrastination. When your task feels too big or too complicated, your brain doesn't know where to start, so you end up doing nothing. The solution? Break the big task into smaller bite-sized chunks. So here are some tips on how to do just that. So instead of saying, I need to write a report, break it down into smaller steps, like outline the report, write the introduction, or review the data. That way, it's a little bit more easier for you to do throughout the day or throughout the week. Remember, each small win builds momentum, making it easier for you to move on to the next step. Step number 3 is to use a 2-minute rule. One of my favorite productivity hacks is a 2-minute rule. If your task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. This not only clears smaller tasks off your plate, but it also builds the momentum and habit of taking the immediate action. So here are some tips for you. Whether it's replying to an email or cleaning up a small mess or making a quick phone call, if it takes less than 2 minutes, don't put it off. This is a great way to trick your brain into building forward momentum. Step number 4, create a dedicated workspace. Sometimes the environment that you're in can either fuel procrastination or fight it. If you're trying to work in a space that is full of distractions like your living room or a cluttered desk, it is going to be harder to stay focused. Trust me, I know. Create a dedicated workspace that is just for getting things done. So here are some tips for you. Designate an area in your home, even if it's just a small corner that is clean, quiet, and free of distractions. Keep your workspace organized to reduce the mental clutter. The more clutter that you see, the more clutter in your mind there will be. So it's always best to clean off the space that you're in to give your mind a peace of mind. And that way, the distraction of a cluttered space would not be the forefront of your mind, where if you build momentum and you stop and you say, I need to clean, that is the only way it will break the momentum for you. So clean a space that is dedicated just for you to get through your work day in and day out. Step number 5 is to schedule time for your tasks. So here's a big one. Put your task on your calendar. I know this seems so silly, but when I tell you, when you put your task on your calendar, it helps you hold yourself more accountable. When something is scheduled, it is much harder to ignore. Treat these blocks of time like you would as if it was a meeting or an appointment, because that's essentially what they are. By blocking off specific times in your day for different tasks, when you see it on your calendar, you'll feel more accountable. So set a timer or a reminder to get started, and once you begin, it's easier to keep going. By putting the appointments or task on your calendar, it may feel like it's so official, like as if it's something that you have to do. But when you have it on your schedule, you're holding yourself accountable. You're not just doing this just to put it on your schedule. You're making yourself aware that there are things that you have to get through on a day in and day out. That's why it's very important to put it on a calendar and not on just a to-do list to get it done. To-do lists are great, but putting it on your schedule where the alarm pops off indicates it's go time. It's time to get it done. It's time to get started. And once you start, there's no stopping you. The momentum is already there. You're gonna wanna complete that task before you move on to the next. Step 6 is to practice self-compassion. Let's be real. Beating procrastination does not happen overnight. And when you do fall into a procrastination pitfall, it is important to not beat yourself up over it. Negative self-talk only makes it harder for you to get back on track. So, if you catch yourself procrastinating, acknowledge it and then refocus. Reward yourself for completing tasks, even if it's a small one. And positive reinforcement can only help you build new habits. Step 7, remove distractions. Distractions are one of the biggest culprits when it comes to procrastination. So whether it's social media, FaceTime, email, a cluttered workspace, distractions can pull you off course very quickly. Identify your biggest distractions and put systems in place to help minimize them. So if that requires you to turn off notifications on your phone or put it in a different room while you're working, do it. Another helpful tip would be to use noise canceling headphones to minimize the noise distractions that may be within your surroundings. And if you're like me, you can't sit in complete silence, put a little music in the background to help you focus. One of my favorites are the lo-fi music or instrumental music that are usually has no lyrics in it to keep it in the background and keeping the volume low so that it can help you stay focused as well. Step number 8 is to also use the Pomodoro technique to stay focused. One of my best and most effective methods to beat procrastination is a Pomodoro technique. You work for a solid 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. This method forces you to focus in short bursts and making it easier to start and maintain your momentum. So some tips for this is to set a timer for 25 minutes and work uninterrupted, and then take a short break to refresh. After 4 rounds, take a longer break to rest your mind. So by going for a walk, grabbing lunch or a snack, and doing one of your favorite hobbies, you can get your mind off the task at hand and enjoy a well-deserved break. Step number 9 is to visualize the end result. Sometimes procrastination happens because we lose sight of why we're doing this in the first place. Visualize how good it's going to feel when the task is done. That always helps me. And by focusing on the end result, can help motivate you to take that first step. Once you accomplish your goal, treat yourself. Go shopping, grab your favorite dessert or your favorite drink, and relish in your accomplishment. The satisfaction of completing the task is well worth it since the task aligns with your bigger goals for the future. And the last step is to forgive yourself and move on. Look, everyone procrastinates. Sometimes even the most productive people do it. The important thing is to not dwell on it. So if you fall off track, forgive yourself, learn from it, and move on. So some tips for you would be to use setbacks as a learning experience. If you fall off, ask yourself, what caused you to procrastinate this time? How can you avoid it in the future? And don't wait for a perfect time to get back on track. Starting where you are and keep moving helps you build back that momentum. And there you have it. You have 10 strategies to help you overcome procrastination and get more done. The key is to be patient with yourself and take action, no matter how small it seems. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on productivity. And let me know in the comments which task you have been putting off that you're gonna tackle today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.